I came here, I think, started the year 9. I come obviously because of football. I was playing for Burnley at the time, so I started year 9 here to become a boarder, so I can travel and go to training. Because my mum and dad were based in Germany at the time still. My dad is in the army, so I came here, met Mr. Jackson, obviously, and then we looked around the school, and it was perfect for me, really, to play football at school and go into training and do what I need to do at training. So it was an easy option for me to come here and hit the ground running.
Just give us an idea what it's like as someone who's year 9, who comes to live in Britain, who is living in Germany with his family. What's it like to come and board at a school and meet all these people that you've never met before?
To be honest with me, it wasn't a big issue because, like, I'm originally from Ghana, so like growing up there, I had to grow up quick. So like mentally I was matured beyond my ages. So coming here wasn't an issue for me at all. But obviously getting to meet new people, new staff, new teachers, being away from home wasn't easy to start off with. But the lads that I had here at school, obviously, sir, and that, it was really good. Like, they were good to me, they welcomed me in. They didn't really have much of a choice. I was coming regardless, so, but it was really good. They helped me settle in really quick, so it was nice.
So you're playing with Burnley and being here. You're travelling from here to Gawthorpe, the old training ground at Burnley.
Yeah, so I think I used to train twice a week. So Jeff would come, I would go to school as normal, and Jeff Taylor would come and pick me up on a Tuesday night, and then take me to training, and after training bring me back, and then the same on Thursdays, and I would go and stay in Burnley at my Diggs lady's house, who's called Suzanne, still I keep in touch with, by the way. I used to stay at her house and play games on Saturdays, and then back to school again on a Sunday night. So that was the routine, yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good, yeah.
Charlie, when John comes to you and you see him play, what's your first thoughts?
He was an athlete, absolute athlete. He could run. I've never seen anybody run as quick as this kid when he first came. We put a bit of development in. He spent a lot of hours together down there. We spent quite a few hours in the afternoon in small groups and then on his own, just working technical with him. And he's the best. He's the best I've worked with, for sure. Out of all of them, I think his attitude, his hunger. He talked about meeting somebody early. This kid had it from an early, and you know what? He played grassroots. Didn't care if it was United or anywhere. He'd play. He'd just play. That's all. That was John. He didn't care whether it was with his mates or whether it was superstars. He didn't really care as long as he played, and that was summed John up really.
When did you first kick a ball, John?
It's weird when I get asked this question. Like, obviously back at home, I used to play football with my friends, like on the streets and that. But I never ever was I growing up thinking, oh, I want to be a footballer. Never. I remember when we lived in Germany, like, I wanted to join the army to start with. And then obviously my dad went to war in Iraq, and my mum didn't sleep for months, so I thought negative, I'm not doing that. So that idea went out of my head. So obviously Burnley come to Germany, I used to play with the army kids. And then I remember we played against them, my team in the army, we played against them, and my dad got a phone call that night saying, oh yeah, we like him and stuff. And obviously, like I said, I had no intention in my mind of playing football. So I spoke to my dad, he spoke to a few of his friends. They played against Mönchengladbach, I think. So I played for them. I did really well, and then they decided that they're going to basically, at the age of 13, I was 13 at the time, they're going to fly me over every 2 weeks to play home games for them. So before I moved there, that was the routine I had. So, but it was really good. Like, it was fun. Like I said, when I started playing football, I just wanted to play football. It didn't really matter where or where.
Charlie says you were the quickest. What position was always your best?
To be honest, I didn't really have a position either. I was one of them, like, just tell me to go and play football, and I'll play to my best ability and work hard for you. But if you like tell me to do certain things, like if you put me up front and say run the channels or come and get the ball to feet, I didn't like listening to stuff like that, because I just wanted to play my football, because that's when I get my best out of myself. So like when it came to the point, obviously when Burnley understood that, that's the good thing that I was at Burnley. They understood that, we should just let this kid do what he wants to do. And like I used to, at the age of 13, I was playing for the Resis at Burnley. and still scoring goals every weekend. So they got that, but obviously as time goes on, things change. You meet managers, they don't get you, you don't get them, and it is what it is.
From a coach's perspective, Charlie, how do you cope with someone like John, who is a free spirit?
John's just hit it on the head. I think the minute we met, we got on because I understood him, and you can put him into some of the drills that we were doing down there, which was like they are quite thought provoking, and to get John to do them at first, he struggled, and then he started to pick him up, and then you learn from what John was doing. He's a free soul. He does what he wants, and I think managers understand. I understood that from probably a second or third week. To be honest with John, what I knew and what I spoke to other coaches who knew him said he's almost, you can't manage him, but you need to understand him to get the best out of him. And he's never once in all the time I've known let me down once on the pitch, in the training session or anywhere else. And I think that's the best I can say about him is that he's an honest boy, and I think misunderstood. No, I think he's just, people got to understand what he is, and he'd play. I think he can still do it now personally, but I think he's such a free spirit, and I think John touched upon Burnley there, letting him do basically what he wants on the pitch. That's why he went for the fee he did. Yeah. After that, you sort of think, you go back and you dwell on those years. That when he was 14 years old, that was the best. That's how I can remember John. That's how I can remember John playing, watching games when he first went to United. He was unbelievable. I wouldn't even tell him. I'd go and watch him, Altrincham playing for the Resis in the 18s, and he was the best player on the pitch. I know we talk about the superstars, but he was the best player on the pitch by a mile. And I'm looking at it from a non-biased point of view. I used to sit there with a few scouts and friends I knew and said, watch this kid, and they all came up with the same opinion. So this kid is world class. He's absolutely world class, and it was just, but you've got to let him play. You've got to let him do what he wants to do on the pitch, because he would run through brick walls for you. And still would, I think. Well, maybe not for me. No.
When you were catching the eye, John, what was the best position that you were getting the most joy from?
But it's I don't know, it's weird to describe it, because it's like I was all over the pitch, but I was scoring goals, so people would just assume, oh yeah, he's a striker. Because I remember I was playing under 14s. I started off at Burnley, I used to score 6-7 goals a game. And I remember Vince pulled me one game, and they said to me, oh, this is getting ridiculous, you have to move up an age group. Went to under 16s, and I was doing the same. Pulled me again. Then obviously I went to Resis then. Obviously I wasn't scoring as many goals, but I was scoring still. So I think when United come in, they just assumed, oh yeah, because he's scoring all these goals, he's a striker. So they just decided, yeah, he's a striker. But I didn't really have any position in mind. As long as I wasn't put in defence, I could play anywhere on the pitch. Yeah.
You didn't want to play in defence?
Nah, definitely not. Definitely not. I had no intentions of doing that. Yeah.
In terms of training drills, then Charlie's just said that some of them were not the correct ones for you. Why not? But
to be fair, with what Sir does in terms of the matrix, I came in here, I came to school just knowing how to play football. Technically, I could play football, I could run, I was an athlete. Technically, I wasn't the most gifted. But obviously, doing the matrix and that, because it's all short drills, pass and move, doing a few tricks in the sessions and stuff like that, and that really added that to my game. And at first, like you said, I didn't get it. It's pretty tough mentally. You have to think. But once I got it, it was unbelievable. Literally, I could do it for hours, and I would be sweating, and it was amazing. But I think that was the thing. Everything, when something is new to you, obviously it takes time to grasp. And then once I got it, it was incredible. So, thanks, sir.
Charlie, if we just go back to 2007. Remembering back to then, I mean, it's 13 years ago now, but it in some ways it doesn't seem like it, that John is subject of transfer activity from Manchester United for an awful lot of money for a very young player, not even a grown-up, who is playing above his age level. What were your thoughts? Were you worried at that point, thinking this could be too much too soon?
Very, very worried, because obviously the school we forged a reputation of developing players. We had some good players before John came who just quite went there. Joe had started at that same age, so we knew we had some great 4- and 5-year-olds at the school, and 6-year-olds, and some young academy players coming through. My concern was the knock-on effect that would have on as a school, because we are great at what we do as a school. We're brilliant at producing and developing players and nurturing players on, but the age was a big thing. It was a huge thing. Because I think at the time it was a British record. I think at the time, and the money that was laboured, and I was reading daily tabloids like the Mail and the Guardian, broadsheets with pictures of John in, and I thought, this boy, he's 13. This is gonna. And to be fair to him, he didn't care. He really didn't care. He wasn't bothered who was picking him up from training, who'd get him home. To be honest, didn't affect him, I don't think. But it could have done. So I think with the way it was handled, because obviously newspapers get all the things, they build it up. It was the big thing. But I think at the time, it was more to do with protection of the other kids at the school as well, because obviously he was going for. We knew he was going to go. There was numerous clubs in for him. But it was just protecting what we already had here, because then you don't want to be labelled as doing it for the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? But I think with John, it didn't really affect your mindset. I don't think, did it? To be honest with you, he was quite laid back as he is now. It's the same as what he is now. It's manana with Johnny. But I think that's how he is as a person. But I think it could have at the time probably affected him in hindsight.
When you're being spoken about, John, for a lot of money, as a very young boy, what are your thoughts?
Like I said, to be honest, nothing. I just wanted to play football, literally. Like, I think people around me was raving about it more than I was. So I didn't, like I said, give me a football and let me play, and that's about it. Money, I came from nothing. And I'm going to live this world with nothing, so money means nothing to me. So I just wanted to play football. Like, I remember a few of my friends like, I went to the training at Burnley, and they were like, are you going to go? Are you going to go? It didn't make any difference to me. I think Steve Cottrell wanted me to go more than I did. I didn't really care. Anywhere that I was playing football was where my happiness was, so that, it didn't really register to me how much I was going for. I mean, it made no difference to the intention I went to United with. So,
do you think it maybe helped with your background that you've not spent your entire childhood in the UK knowing what maybe the British media is like, that are constantly speculating about transfers, and you're kind of blissfully unaware of it?
No, probably, but even if I was aware of it, like I said, I'm true to myself. I'm always going to be my own person, regardless of the situation. I'm never going to live my life to please any human being. I live my life to please God. That's about it. Even like, I speak to my mom on a daily basis. We talk about stuff, and I would not come and sit here and lie to you, lie to Sir, lie to anyone. I'm the most honest person that you come across in your life. I have no need to lie to anybody. So, like, in terms of football, in terms of the price, in terms of what the media do, if they put a camera in front of me at the age of 13 asking me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I told them exactly what I've just said to you right now. I'm not bothered. I just want to play football, and that was that.
When you walk into a club like Manchester United, though, did you have anyone to help you? Did you have anyone to be a shoulder to lean on, to say, this is just something that I never expected at such an early age?
But this is the thing. This is the reason why I took this job, because I was meant to go to the Philippines to play there before Mr. Harrison called me. So this is the reason why I took this job. Like, to answer your question, no, I didn't have that at United. I didn't have that at United at all. Went in there, but to be fair, like I said, mentally I was wiser beyond my age. So I just went in there and I knew I just wanted to play football. So I went in there despite the fact, don't get me wrong, the lads were amazing. But I didn't get a single coach pull me to the side to say, oh yeah, this is how we do things, rare. None of that. So, like I said, this is how I took this job. There's way more to football than what's in your feet. Way more to it. Like, obviously, that's what I'm trying to pass on to these kids. I want them to understand that just because you can play football doesn't mean you're going to make it. It's tough. It's a tough world, so.
Do you think in that respect things have changed a little bit in the last 13 years? You say nobody told you what they expected. Nobody told you what was happening. Do you think now in 2020 we live in a different world a little bit?
I should hope clubs have noticed and clocked on that as players, younger players especially, you need it. You need these things. You know what I mean? Most players are not even from England. Most players come from overseas and play. You have to live in digs and that. So of course, it's hard enough leaving your family behind and coming here playing football. And football is demanding, mentally, physically, everything. So it's not easy. So I think I hope clubs are like clocked onto these things, and they're bringing people in to speak to players and stuff about situations and that.
I mean this in the nicest possible way, John. Charlie, did you expect John to go on and be a superstar with Manchester United?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Did you see that pause there?
No. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think with him being such a high-profile player, and we still kept in touch after John had left, and he's trying to give advice, but he lives his life. He's lived his life for John. So whatever advice I could give him, or his previous managers or his current manager would give him, he lives his life for John. And I think John, and I say it now, I still think he could play at a really good level now and still prove to himself he can do it. And I think there's a lot of there'd be a lot of raised eyebrows at the time when he went for that sort of fee, but I didn't doubt that was the price of a 14-year-old boy at the time. That we don't make the prices, but I think if you were to look back on it now, and currently if he was 14 now and he was doing what he did now, you'd be looking at a £20 million player. That's, I'm not saying it's money, isn't it? But that's what he is. And I think as a footballer, I say he's the best of the bunch. He was better when he won the FA Youth Cup, and you had superstar players in that group there. It was 4 or 5. He was the best of the bunch for me. And I keep saying that because he was just such a good player. Such a good player. And there were things that he could do with a ball stuck to. I mean, he was random. He was like he'd just pick. I mean, I was watching some of the stuff over the weekend on YouTube, and he didn't know what he was doing himself. But that's what sometimes footballers, the George Best of that. You know, it wasn't a George Best because George Best was a different player, but George Best would play off the cuff. That was John. There was flashes of genius in John that I don't think he knew he had, and I think maybe that's needing nurturing and managing at the time, and we would have been looking at something different a little bit. But you know, I've got him back with me now, which is fantastic, nurturing and passing on to the Moorland kids, which is hopefully will produce our next superstars.
John, did you, when you were at Manchester United, did you have all the belief in the world that you would play for Manchester United for I don't know how many years? Did you feel that you'd make it with them?
I never, not for once, do I ever doubt my ability. Up to now, I know I can play football. It's just if I want to or not. But yeah, as I was at United, and don't get me wrong, I came across some really talented boys. I mean, like Sir said, you have the likes of Paul Pogba, Ravel Morrison, Jesse Lingard, the Keane brothers. They were all in my team and they were good players. But as a footballer, if you want to make it, if you want to like bring the best out of you, you have to play among the best, literally. But I didn't doubt my ability 1 second. I never thought like I wasn't going to make it or anything like that. I didn't go in there scared, just winning that for this year. Obviously, this is going to be way more tougher than Burnley, but I'm more than ready for it. So yeah, I went in there with the right mindset, so it was all right.
And when you reflect on it now, a few years on, were there things that you look back on and think, I wish I'd have done that, I wish I'd have done that, or can you not live your life like that?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't dwell on the past because you can't change the past. But if there's anything that I'd love to change, I think because I appreciated the players that I played with. I appreciate them more because when I moved on from there and played in other clubs, obviously you make runs and you don't get the passes and it's difficult. So I think that's the only thing that I would say that I should have appreciated more. But thinking back, literally, there's no decision that I made that I think, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done this way or that way. Like I said, in life, with me anyway, I'll give you what you give me. You give me respect, I'll give you back. If you treat me disrespectfully, I'll give you back. It's simple as that. So at any club that went, I give them what they gave me. This one thing that I always say, that I was raised to play football. I was brought up at United to play football. I was brought up here to play football. So like when you leave United and you start going to lower divisions, that obviously back in the day as well, not a lot of managers played football. It's just all from front to back. And if you don't know how to play that style of football, it makes you look worse than you already are. It was like, I remember once I was Southport, I was sat on the bench with Ashley Grimes. And Grimesy technically is a great player. And I remember I was just talking to him, I said, do you know what, yeah, football is not for me. Like literally, because it's like fighting. It's like fighting literally in the non-league. It's like fighting, and I just said to him, this is not my game. I wasn't like the thing with, obviously, like we have the Vardy thing where he's come from non-league to the Premier League, so it's different. But I went the other direction. So from the Premier League to the other way is not the same whatsoever. But I do miss the passing and that. I missed that a lot from United. Like obviously they had Pogba, David Petrucci, Ryan Tunnicliffe, all of them. There wasn't a single pass they couldn't find. Sometimes they were passing it and I was running for it. It was that good. Yeah, I think I can still get up tomorrow and have a team to play in because I've got United on my CV. Because Alex Ferguson brought me to Manchester United, and everybody knows his track record. Like he knows football. So yeah, like being at United, it was incredible. Don't get me wrong. It was to have on my CV is incredible. Like I said, if I want to get back to football, managers will look at my CV and be like, oh yeah, he was at United, rare. Playing with all them lads, being there, playing football, and just enjoying myself was the main thing for me.